What is going on, everyone? So today's video, I'm going to talk about weight some more. I've probably been beating the dead horse for some of you guys, but weight is really important to me right now since I'm going to start doing autocross in this car. So balance is really the most important key in terms of the weight. But I'm going to put some graphs up, an Excel sheet, and some math that I did. I'll put that up in this video as well, but kind of explaining the different zones, like zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. And also, if you see the blue tape right there, that marks exactly the middle of the vehicle. So this has to do, I just did this has to do with weight balance between the front and rear. So factory weight balance on a 97 Cobra, I believe, is 57.43, and I need to get it as close to 50-50 as possible, which after marking the middle of the car, I realized I've been going the wrong direction, and I've probably made the front a lot heavier than the rear, because if you look in here, and I'll post a picture of it up too, but the middle part, like the middle dividing line, is about right where my finger is, right here. So the rear seats, spare tire, all that stuff that I removed from the back here is all the rear. And then the majority of the seats are going to be the rear half of the car too, which kind of sucks because when I get rid of these, I'm going to be probably dropping 60 or 70 pounds out of the rear. The one good thing is that almost everything else I've removed has been the front. So like the air conditioner, the smog pump, cruise control, windshield washer tank, passenger airbag, radio, couple of the speakers. What else have I? Everything that I've done from the front of the vehicle basically is been most of zone 2 and zone 1 if you split it down into threes. But so I just wanted to kind of give you guys a look at this and show you where the halfway line is. And my goal right now is to get more weight off of this half, the front half, because I've already taken a ton off the rear half. So I'm hoping that adding a panhard bar and rear strut tower bar to the rear, and then getting the Stifler's fit system put in underneath, which Warhorse Racing, if you guys haven't checked him out yet, check him out on YouTube, Warhorse Racing. He said that it's like a 42 pounds for the bracing, and that'll be underneath the vehicle. So basically half of that bracing, because it's going to run from about right here to right here, basically half of that is going to be on the rear, which is good. So I'm going to be getting a little bit more weight added to the rear, but I need to try to get a better balance of things here, get more off the front, which I've got some stuff planned to do that. But check out the Excel sheet I've got. I'll link it in the description so you guys can download it and look at it. But we'll go ahead and take a look at that right now.
All right, what's going on, everyone? So here is the Excel sheet I was talking about, the kind of the breakdown spreadsheet of everything that I've been working on here. So the first section of this, I do the zones like I've talked about. I got this from Warhorse Racing, which I'll link him in the description. He's got some great YouTube videos on different stuff, weight loss, basically he does a lot of autocross. He's got 3 different Mustangs, but really good channel to check out, so I recommend doing that. But anyways, so I break it down into the zones. Front of the car, which is from the front bumper, nose of the front bumper to the firewall, is zone 1. The middle zone is firewall to rear axle, and the rear zone is rear axle back. And I break everything down here into what I removed, how much it weighed, and then it's got a total here at the bottom, and everything auto calculates. So once I put a number in here, let's say 10, it automatically adds it to the total, and it updates everything in the spreadsheet. So to start, the stock weight of the vehicle with me in it and a half tank of gas is 3,500 pounds. And then the stock weight balance between the front and the rear is 57% of the weight is on the front and 43% is on the rear. So far from front of vehicle, zone 1, I've removed 56 pounds. And then the middle of the vehicle, which is zone 2, I have removed 80 pounds, 80.2 pounds. And then the very rear of the vehicle, which is zone 3, I've removed 74 pounds for a total of 210.6 pounds I've removed from the vehicle. And I will include this spreadsheet. I'll link it in the description below, and you guys can download it or check it out, switch up the numbers to match your vehicle, and you can use it all you want to get all these calculations. Second thing I did that I worked on was power to weight ratio, and I've got a link here. I'll link to this calculator that they used here for on this website. I'll put that in the description. But the stock power to weight ratio, which is when I weighed the car at 3,500 pounds, it's 0.074. So for every pound lost, it equals 0.074 horsepower. And basically it takes, on this next line I kind of show you here, the pounds required to lose in order to gain 1 horsepower is 13.5 at the stock weight of 3,500 pounds. So for every 13.5 pounds I remove from the vehicle, it's the equivalent of 1 horsepower. And that's kind of how this power to weight ratio works. And so the idea here is to lose as much weight as you can to gain the equivalent of that in horsepower. You're not actually gaining horsepower. So like I guesstimated the current horsepower to the wheels to be 260 just based on what I've seen online for stock Cobras. So when you lose 13.5 pounds, your vehicle's not going to have 261 pounds or 261 horsepower all of a sudden. It's just going to act as if it does. So it's going to be as quick as the equivalent as if it had 261 horsepower. So the current weight of my vehicle is 3,289 pounds, and that's just the stock weight minus what I've removed so far. So my horsepower to weight ratio is 0.079. So it only takes 12.6 pounds to gain 1 horsepower as my vehicle sits, as opposed to the stock it would be 13.5. Now this number changes as the vehicle loses weight, so this number is constantly changing. If I lose 1 more pound, this number changes. So every 100 pounds I'll probably readjust this, but it's automatically doing it right now. So if I add any weight here to, like, if I make this 215, this all automatically adjusts down here. So basically, as it sits right now, I just need to lose 12.6 pounds to gain the equivalent of 1 horsepower. And then the horsepower that I've gained from weight reduction is the equivalent of 15.5 horsepower. So I've removed enough weight to be the equivalent of 15.5 horsepower added to the vehicle. This kind of explains why it's a good strategy to take weight out of your vehicle. But what I'm going to get into next, it doesn't really matter where the weight's coming from necessarily if you're drag racing, but if you're going to be doing autocross and turns, you want good weight distribution, and that's where this next part comes in here. So I made a section for weight distribution between the front and the rear. Like I said before, the factory weight balance is 57% of the weight's in the front, 43% is in the rear. And so on my vehicle when it was stock, 1,995 pounds was on the front of the vehicle and 1,505 pounds was on the rear. So there were 490 more pounds on the front of the vehicle than there were on the rear of the vehicle, which is a pretty substantial amount. So when you look at that, you want to get this front number down to be somewhat equivalent to this bottom number. That'll get you towards that 50-50 goal. So we're wanting to lose weight off the front, keep the rear the same. I mean, you can lose weight off the rear, but you want to lose more off the front just to get that number down to kind of match the rear so that you get towards that 50-50 weight balance. So what I did was I went out and I measured my vehicle. 181.5 inches is the length. And so I divided that in two and I marked that with a piece of tape. And that was that piece of tape you saw in the middle of the vehicle at the beginning of this video. That's dead center of the vehicle, which is roughly a few inches behind the steering wheel. So everything from that point to the rear of the car is considered the rear, and then from that point to the front is considered the front. So unfortunately, the passenger and driver's seat falls into the rear section of the vehicle, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping that would be on the front part of the vehicle, because now whenever I switch those out with racing seats, I'm going to be losing a lot more weight off of the rear of the vehicle, and my distribution, my numbers here are going to go further in the wrong direction. So I listed out a bunch of different stuff, things that I've removed already, and then things that I plan to switch out or remove or replace. And then I'll add those numbers in of how much that stuff weighs as I go, and then this will all automatically update. So I've got like the front weight loss total, which adds all these numbers automatically, and then I've got the rear weight loss total, which adds all these automatically. And then down here, it updates what the front of the vehicle weighs and what the rear of the vehicle weighs based on what I take off. And then down here, it's got the percentages. So like I said, I went in the wrong direction. I removed way too much from the rear. I've only removed 82.7 from the front, whereas I've removed 127 from the rear. So my ratios went in the wrong direction. It went from 57 to 58% and from 43 to 41.8% for the rear. So a bit unfortunate, but I just need to work on some of this stuff to get the ratio back towards 50-50. Get that balance, more towards the 50-50 mark, which I think I could do. I've got things like, the front bumper bar still to install, which is like 15 pounds roughly. Battery relocation, that's going to move 30 pounds from the front and put it on the rear. So that'll be a good fix, because that's, something that'll be going into the right direction. K-member, that's probably 30 pounds. Let's see, control arms, that's going to take off some weight. Steering wheel with the airbag, replacing that with a racing steering wheel, that'll take some weight off. Aftermarket hood, aluminum drive shaft, that'll kind of be distributed between the front and the rear, but things like that. And then like on the rear, I plan to add stuff. The fit system, which that'll kind of be in the front and the rear as well. That'll distribute between the front and the rear of the vehicle, so that might kind of cancel out. But harness bar, that'll be in the rear of the vehicle. That's for the racing harnesses. I don't know how much that's going to weigh, maybe a couple pounds, but stuff like the rear strut tower bar, that'll add some weight. Like I said, battery relocation, that'll add 30 pounds. Panhard bar, that's going to add weight. So right now, the goal is to get this car a little bit better balanced, because 58.41 is not very good. I want to try to get it down to like 53.47 or like 58.42, or 52.48 or like 57.43, somewhere around there. 53.47. I'm messing up here. Basically, I want to get this number closer to 50, this number closer to 50. So right now where it sits, it's not on a very well balanced vehicle, but I just thought I'd kind of show you guys what kind of stuff I'm doing here to, calculate this weight reduction and weight distribution and weight balance. and power to weight ratio and all this other stuff. So like I said, I'll link this into the description, and you guys can switch out the numbers with numbers that match your vehicle and use it as you will. It's all set up and ready to go. So if you got any comments or questions on any of this, feel free to comment below. And any ideas on what I can remove from the front or add to the rear to kind of get the balance a little bit better, comment that below as well. I appreciate it. Thanks for